This is not a happy-go-lucky comic book movie. This is not a serious art house movie. This is what happens when those two have a child. And I will tell you right now, this is some scary, scary stuff. My girlfriend went with me expecting, I don't know, like Joker Harlequin stuff, but found out that no, this is like a deep psychological dive into a deeply disturbed man who just happens to be called the Joker. And I just want to get that right out of the way first. There's some psychological things in here, but we'll talk about those near the end. Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing Joker. And alright, like I said at the beginning there, this is going to have a hard place to be fit in, really, when you think about it. Because, yeah, it's a villain antagonist movie, but it's not really a comic book movie. There's a lot going on, and they obviously put a lot of thought and effort into making this a very, very psychological drama. And before you say anything, I promise you that there are absolutely no way that you're accidentally going to mistake Joker for a hero in this. Neither is there any moment in it that you really are going to feel sorry for him. Maybe a few moments where you slightly do. But this version of the Joker is no more or less a hero than any other version, nor should anyone really be relating to him for the most part. Now, having said that, if we're going into a big antagonist movie push, may I suggest, since this one takes place in the 80s and totally fills the slot of 80s nostalgia, maybe we should push for something that was supposed to be sci-fi future. I'm talking about next villain movie being a Batman Beyond focus on Mad Stan. Who's Mad Stan, you ask? I'm glad you asked, person who's not really here.
Of this city.
Serve the needs of the special interest fat cats, you mean. The whole political system is corrupt. You think these ideas are new? Forget it, man. It's the same old story. We're a push-button society. Technology makes our heads soft, our bodies weak. But I've got a new idea. Blow it up! Blow it all up!
Then how would we make cappuccino?
But okay, that was just a little bit of levity there. One of the big things that people are going to be confused by is that there's no Batman. There is no enemy. There is no good guy. This is, again, someone taking a very psychological look at what it means to be the Joker. But that doesn't in and of itself mean it's completely realistic. You have to understand, this guy right here, no matter what incarnation, even this one, is just beyond crazy. And yeah, there's already people that are comparing this to other movies, Falling Down, Clockwork Orange, or King of Comedy, which, yes, it does take some beats and concepts from, but more of kind of paying homage to than outright stealing the plot idea. No, this movie is very much a Joker movie, and it very much is also an in-depth look into a character study. But at the same time, it's a character study into a messed up character. So as much as I just said that all those other movies, and again, Taxi Driver, Clockwork Orange, they're all in the same basic genre. But this one has the comic book tropes to it, at least a little bit. So it's going to have a hard place to land. Overall, I'm going to give it a silver rating for what I think it's worth, even though I think that comic book fans are going to want something a little more lighthearted, and people who go in expecting it to be a King of Comedy type movie are going to be disappointed that, well, there are some just comic booky things in it. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, this is kind of a new area. I really liked the way it did it, though. The fact that we got this different take, this look. And as much as I don't think we're ever going to see James Patterson fight this Joker, I think he could. But alright, people always ask, what do you do here? Well, what I do here is I take a deep dive and look into the heart of the story we tell. Basically, try to pull apart this. And I'll tell you right now, this movie, I could write a thesis on, a college level one. So if you're interested in following that sort of thing, click the subscribe button and join me here every week as we try to figure out what it means, what the different story beats and tropes are, and just in general, how to get to the heart of the stories we tell. But alright, with that, let's go into spoiler territory. So once again, it's stop spoiler time. And I'm going to start off by just assuming that you have seen at least some of these trailers and that you have some concept of who the Joker is and who Batman is and what Gotham City is. Because all of those are dialed up to 11 in this crazy, like I said, not beat for beat remake, but obvious homage to the King of Comedy. As we have this character who doesn't just have one bad day like in the comics, but one bad life. But alright, let's start with the different bits of fiction. Setting. Okay, so the setting is not just Gotham City, although it is Gotham City. It's Gotham City in the 80s, when in the middle of all of this stuff, there's a garbage strike. Everyone's worried. Criminals are starting to rise up. The insane asylums are starting to be shut down. There's no place someone looking for the mentally handicapped to get help can really go at this point. Now, normally when we talk about the 80s, I'm talking about fun things because, well, when the 80s were around, I was a kid, and I wasn't thinking about how medical insurance would pay for asylum care. But realistically, what we're looking at here is a deep dive into not the current socio-political environment, but one from when I was a kid. And yeah, there are elements of that are still kind of true today. But if you think about it, it's also really just, again, a dive into the idea of the corruption that happens in Gotham City. Characters. Now, throughout this movie, Arthur Fleck has the main thrust of it, but we have all these other characters, these clowns that he interacts with, the social worker, the different criminals, you name it. But honestly, very few of them actually rise up to be actual characters. And one of the main plot points is that you're never 100% sure what's happening for real and what's happening inside his head. Like I said, kind of like in King of Comedy, that's where it's kind of a little bit of homage. But honestly, Arthur Fleck is really the only character you really need to worry about. Everything else is just kind of set dressing in there. And that's fine, because in a Joker movie, what we really get is the Joker. And trust me, there's a scene, and you will know it if you watch this movie, at the end, where he becomes the Joker. Plot. Alright, so the plot is rather simple. And again, you can see the King of Comedy thing because sometimes this guy that lives with his mother is living in a pretty much made up world. And one of the big things and the plot points is that his mother's just as nuts as he is. In fact, one of the things that people were worried about was that he might be related to Bruce Wayne. And the way they play with that, oh, there was such a great plot twist. You just have to watch it to see the whole thing play out and see how every moment the plot is driven by this character development. Point of view. The point of view is always through Arthur. Every time you think for even a second that something else is going on, in some way it is happening with or to Arthur. We follow Joaquin Phoenix's point of view through this entire thing, and it is amazing. The actual thought processes put through all of this, the idea of what he does and doesn't do, and how he does and doesn't do it, is just amazing, especially when you see him falling apart. And part of him falling apart is him just losing his mind. But at the same time, you see that he was always kind of lost his mind and always kind of an evil SOB. You just weren't paying attention at the beginning. Themes and symbolism. Alright. So, yeah. One of the big themes running it through the whole thing is going sane in an insane world. But realistically, that scene there with those stairs, you could probably write an entire thesis just on that. Just what those stairs mean. And one of the big things that is going to both upset some people and say is brilliant in others is the fact that there are moments, these little tiny seconds, where he's almost relatable, where he almost has a recognizable illness. But in between each of those moments, you realize he's over the top. He has this evilness. And when you go back, in fact, I can't wait to watch it again and again. Because I guarantee you, if you watch this a second time, a third time, or a fourth time, you are going to see moments in there that really solidify what type of person Fleck is. The one thing I don't have an answer to is whether or not there's a tell for when he's really in a scene and when he's psychologically just imagining it. I will say right now that I think I've got most of that figured out, but I mean, this movie is full of so many twists and turns. I don't know. I need to go back and rewatch for all the symbolism. Like any good art house film, this is going to be one of those things that you could look 1,000 times. But alright, let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the good should be amazingly obvious. Joaquin Phoenix is an awesome actor. The entire production was done to the nines. They put a lot of work and effort into this, and this is a mental masterpiece. This is one of those movies that could be taught at school. But the bad is that it doesn't really have a place. Like I said before, there are comic bookisms in it that don't fit with the art house theme, and there are art house things that don't fit with the comic book theme, and I think that's going to get in its way. And for God's sake, did we really need yet another Death of the Waynes? Because, yeah, we totally get that, and no, don't worry, it's not Joker. Joker doesn't do it like he did in the other Batman movie in '89. But still, it's just like, and for a movie that's so realistic, how did you get the pearls wrong? Why'd you get the pearls wrong? I would have totally said that that was one of the good ones if they actually made the pearls act like real pearls. And finally, the ugly. And this one you should have seen coming from the beginning. Alright, I made my own jokes. I threw up this. But really, at the end of the day, there's a whole psychological thing going on here. And I have to wonder, does it go too far? Are we now in a place where a movie that is so dark and so thoughtful when it comes to figuring out exactly what types of disorders to give him? I have no doubt. I can't name every one of the ones Joaquin Phoenix was playing, but I've seen plenty of articles talking about them. And from the handwriting to the way he can't really stand up, and the way he moves, there's a lot going on there that is really pointing to real mental illnesses. The problem is that Joker isn't just mental illness. No matter how much they say, oh, one bad day could lead anyone to this situation. No, 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 no. Not anyone could be Joker. And here's why. Joker is irredeemably evil. It doesn't matter that he's mentally unstable. It doesn't matter that he's crazy. Not that he's not those things, he totally is those things. But the craziness makes him act specifically like Joker, but the evilness is what puts him in the Joker position. There are going to be a lot of people harping on this over the next couple of days, maybe weeks, maybe months. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about how ugly this could be. I want to talk about the fact that this movie tries to get it right. And I don't know. I'm just some idiot on YouTube, but I think it does it rather well. One of the questions is do you understand that Joker is not just a crazy clown killer? He is above and beyond to levels of ridiculousness. And I think for the most part this movie does portray it that way. But that's my thoughts. Overall, I'm going to stand by my silver, even though I think that this is one of the few that probably could have gotten to platinum. Even my thought is that it almost could be. But I think that there were too many things that are going to hold it back from being a blockbuster or being the perfect movie. You let me know down in the comments what you think, especially since there are some tense moments in this movie. But now I need to ask you to do all the things all the YouTubers do, so click like and share, help me build the channel, and if you haven't already, click that subscribe button to join us here as we take a walk through the hearts of the stories we tell. And of course, a big thank you to my patrons who have made all of this possible, and anyone who's just in general leaving comments and helping me walk through and figure out what's going on here. For now, I will leave you with this. My girlfriend says I'm not allowed to laugh like Joker anymore, so... well, I guess you don't have to put up with that much longer. Have a good night, and thanks for watching.